Tell Us About Yourself is sponsored by bonusround.ca, streaming Canada's classic game shows on demand. Dive into the golden age of television with thousands of episodes of Canadian series that defined an era from anywhere in the world, all for just $1.99 a month. From iconic shows like Let's Make a Deal and Definition to cult classics like Bumper Stumpers and The Mad Dash, bonusround.ca brings you timeless entertainment that's fun, enlightening, and affordable. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, relive the magic of Canadian television history. Subscribe now at bonusround.ca for $1.99 and turn every night into Game Show Night. By Game Show Forensics. Join host Robert McKee and his crack team of forensic game show scientists as they take you on the deepest dives imaginable in a quest to analyze the most detailed minutia of game shows nobody else dares to, or cares to, investigate. Nothing is too whimsical for examination, no semantics too absurd for the research extremists at GameShowForensics.com. Parental discretion is advised. And by The Inn at Leola Village. Nestled in the heart of picturesque Pennsylvania, the Inn at Leola Village is a sanctuary of luxury and relaxation. Indulge in the timeless beauty of their historic suites, each meticulously designed to transport you to a bygone era of elegance and grace. Experience the culinary delights of their award-winning Italian restaurant, where every dish is a masterpiece crafted from the finest local ingredients. From romantic getaways to corporate retreats, the Inn at Leola Village offers a haven for every occasion. Unwind at the spa, stroll through the lush gardens, and let the stress of everyday life melt away. Make your reservation today at theinnatleolavillage.com or call the front desk at area code 717-656-7002. The Inn at Leola Village, an oasis of luxury. Tell Us About Yourself. Conversations with Game Show Contestants is produced in partnership with the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York, one of the largest history museums in the United States, and one of the leading museums serving families with highly interactive exhibits and programs. Since 1968, the Strong Museum has been dedicated to exploring the ways in which play encourages learning, creativity, and discovery, and how it illuminates cultural history. And their National Archives of Game Show History. Founded by industry veterans Bob Bowden and Howard Blumenthal, the archive is home to thousands of artifacts representing over 80 years of broadcasting, including props, set designs, video interviews with game show professionals, and other iconic elements from the history of television at play. For more information about the National Archives of Game Show History or the Strong National Museum of Play, visit museumofplay.org or call area code 585-263-2700.
Blue 35.
Tell us about yourself, would you?
Tell us something about you.
For any new viewers, why don't you tell us again about yourself?
We've met before, but let's meet again. Tell us about
What
yourself.
else can you tell us about yourself?
Perhaps you'd fill us in again and tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Ashley Adler. I'm from the Valley of Los Angeles, California, and I'm a voice actor. And I'm a voice acting teacher and singing teacher, and I'm a singer. But yes, I'm mostly a voice actor.
So, Ashley, I usually start these conversations by finding out what role game shows played in the person's life growing up, before they became a contestant, before they got that opportunity. Did this type of TV mean anything to you growing up?
Oh my gosh, I need to think about this.
It's also okay if the answer is no. Like, if it didn't mean anything to you, that's perfectly fine. Because, like, I've talked to a wide range of people. I've talked to people who have been on dozens of shows, loved this kind of thing since they were toddlers. I've also talked to people that just ran into it as a way to make money on the side and didn't really consider themselves a fan of this type of TV at all. So wherever you fit in there is perfectly fine.
Honestly, I wish I could tell you I have a relationship with this, but the only relationship I have is I think I remember my grandmother watching them like at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, like Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy, probably. I really don't remember. And I think I was in the audience of what's that one Drew Carey hosts?
The Price is Right?
Yeah, I was in the audience for The Price is Right in high school or college or something. I don't know. I think I did that too, but I don't really remember. I think I used to mimic being a host of a game show, and I still do that. But just for fun. But that's really it, though.
Okay, so you had an inclination towards being in show business, working in show business from an early age. I just get that feeling from talking to you that this is something that's very deep seated. Where does that come from? Who did you see that made you want to emulate that? How did you get involved in the pursuit of show business?
It was really natural. I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles, but nobody in my family was in the industry. And when you say the industry in Los Angeles, that means Hollywood, the biz. But it just was natural. I was always like in choir, and I was always imitating people's voices, which is kind of how I found my legs in voice acting. I don't know. It just, I was, I did plays in high school and middle school and elementary school and all that stuff. It just sort of became like evident it was what I was going to do. And my family just kind of let me do it.
Yeah. Just like a natural itch for that kind of thing. Let's talk about impressions and impersonations for a minute, because I feel like that is it's such a fun talent to have, and it's also a fun talent to exercise. Like, and I try to explain this to the people that I work with. I don't work in the industry, but I've had my share of experiences in the industry. I work in hospitality, and at the hotel where I work, I'm a front desk manager. I can do a solid impression of everyone I work with. And I try right?
That's what I used to do.
Like if I just spend enough time around somebody, I can naturally pick up on their little nuances and just eventually work up an impression of them. And I try to explain that it's like a labor of love. It's not, I'm not making fun of somebody when I do their voice. Right. It's just like a sign that like I spend a lot of time around you and I pay attention to you and
I know all your idiosyncrasies.
Right. And it's like, it is in such a not creepy way. It's in such a positive light that I'm doing it. Do you have that same experience when it comes to people that you used to do impressions of? Would people get offended by it, or did they see the entertainment?
Absolutely. Well, no, I usually entertained people because I did it so gleefully and big, or I do it behind people's backs. If it was like a boss or like,
sure,
someone like that. But wait, what was the question? What was that?
I asked I was talking about how like I would explain to people that when I do an impression of you, like it is love. It is completely out of love, and I'm not making fun of them. And I wonder if you had that same experience where you had to explain that to people that you would do an impression of. Like, were people offended by it, or did they see the entertainment value in you, mimicking their voice?
My family would be deeply offended. They would be like, "Don't make fun of your Aunt Cheryl," or "That hurts her feelings," or "Sorry, Aunt Cheryl." I doubt she's going to listen to this, but my family had a really distinctive laugh. My mother's side of the family, and I would just imitate it, or my family that I would imitate. It was never a flattering impression, unfortunately. But when I worked with people I worked with, like employees or coworkers, sorry, that I worked with, I like would have them all down, and like I would make all my fellow coworker employees laugh very hard at mimicking that I would put together whole bits, honestly, and then I later would write like monologues when I was doing like sketch comedy. I'd be like, oh, this is my boss or my coworker. And I was just always doing impressions of everyone, even like any celebrity or actor that I could like get a hook into. I would, you know, because when I would just do it. It's just like my natural, it's just who I am. You know what I mean? There's people I meet and I'm like, or if I'm teaching them voice acting, I'm like, so what are the impressions you do? They're like, I don't really do some, but I guess I should work on some. And a part of me is just like, if you're not doing it just because you're compelled to, then it's just probably not your thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, I cannot help it. I cannot help it. And then there's people I just can't do. You know what I mean? I can't do everyone. It's like, I have to have like a hook or like a fascination with you to do it. And it's not always an exact vocal impression, but it's just like the mannerisms or the, you know.
Anyone ever get offended when you can't do an impression of them?
If I can't?
If you can't. I've had that experience where like I'll do impressions of people and somebody go, oh, do me. And I go, I don't have it. I can't. I don't have anything. Like you said, I don't have anything to latch onto to like build something
a little
around.
Disappointed. They'll just be like, well, and I'm like, look, either I haven't spent enough time around you or like I just haven't gotten the hook yet, you know, sorry.
Right. What? I wonder what.
When guys ask me, can you do me? And I'm like, dude, I'm not a guy. Like, I cannot make my voice sound like you. But like, I have done impressions of men, but like, it's more like it's for laughs. It's not like I can do an exact impression. Like, I had a boss who was like, you know, Ashley, you know, he didn't literally sound like that. His voice is much deeper because he's a man.
Right,
so,
sure. Well, that was pretty deep. That was pretty deep. That was impressive.
I have a pretty deep voice. I have a pretty huge range. But I was like, the only guy I think I can really do is Aziz Ansari because his voice is high, like this. Oh my God, ew! I don't like old things. Ew. You know what I mean? He just sounds like that. But,
right. He is very like overmodulated kind of.
Oh yeah,
right.
But he's the only guy I could do. But even him, I'm like, it's not an exact impression. Versus some people that I'm like, gonna be dead ringer for.
There's a commonality here. I wonder what kind of person finds it easy to do impressions of people. Like, what is it? Is that what it is? It's something. There is some quality or some, I don't know. Like, I like entertaining people. And I don't know if I ever want to pursue a hard and fast like career in show business, but I like making people laugh. I like that. Well, some people don't care. Some people just go through their life and they, you know, they're entertained by what they're entertained by, but they never consider it their responsibility to entertain. To a certain degree, I think I feel that. I wonder if you do too.
It's just my natural way. It's just always who I've been. I can't escape it, no matter how hard I try.
Does it ever get you in trouble?
Doing impressions?
Just in general, that love or need to entertain.
Probably. I mean, well, you're asking me some questions I haven't thought about before.
Well, good. Start thinking about it. It's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, what the hell? Well, I know you're a performer because you're a night owl.
That's also part of it. Absolutely.
Trouble. Let's see. I don't think anything's gotten me in trouble. People, my performerness has definitely gotten me. People definitely have been annoyed by me to a crazy degree, and I just kind of don't know when to shut it off sometimes. Or I have like a lack of social awareness where I'm like, okay, Ashley, shut up, dude. Like nobody wants to hear you.
I mean, does that still happen though? Because I remember a period in my life. Yes. I would say from like age 16 to like 23. There was a period where like I just didn't know when to stop, and I don't know that it got me in trouble, but it definitely got me into like embarrassing situations where somebody outside of me would have to be like, Christian, stop. You know what I mean? But that still happens to you like to this day.
People, I've been told and I've heard people talking behind my back, oh, Ashley has a lack of social awareness. And, you know, I do. But also, I mean, I'm also just like, well, I am who I am and I'm good at what I do. And if I'm a little eccentric, you expect me to not be eccentric? Hello. But yeah, it is hard for me to turn it off sometimes. But it's if I do like a lot of intense performing and acting, then it's just like off. Like if I'm like in a show or I sing in a band that like gets all my like energy out, then like it's easy for me to turn off. But like I think sometimes there's that need. I'm like, I need to be seen and make you laugh. Or like sometimes I talk a lot to like people who work at like, a convenience store or something. Or I'm like, so who are you? Like I take a big interest to my friends are like, Ashley, there are customers behind you. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I just will get like lost in a conversation because I get fascinated or like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, that just happens to me. I don't know. It just happens to me all the time. But
well, yeah, and honestly, I'm the same way. Like I have resigned myself to the fact that when I get to be older, like it's gonna get even worse. Like I'm going to be that person that like makes long form conversation in line at the supermarket, and like I do now.
Yeah.
Like I talk to
I
people,
do it
and but somewhere along the line, and I don't know what caused it, but the need to apologize for that just kind of melted away. I don't give a damn. I love talking to people. And honestly, like I got to the point where I think to myself, if somebody has a problem with it, it says more about them than it does about me. It's
and
normal
also,
to want to talk to
these
people.
days, isn't it? There's so much loneliness. Isn't it nice to take an interest in someone?
Right, you know what I mean? Like I was, before I started doing this show, I was doing a podcast during COVID where I talked to a complete stranger every Saturday morning for like an hour. And I talked to people from all over the world. And
That's
like,
so cool.
Oh God, it was so much fun. And like one of the things that, like one of the commonalities in all those conversations was that, and maybe it was because of COVID, but I think it happened even after COVID, where like people were relieved to have a conversation. Like they were just relieved to like have that outlet because...
Or have a conversation with somebody other than the person they were living with.
Right. Well, like how often do you get to talk about yourself in a situation where the other person isn't trying to leave? You know what I mean? There are so many conversations that happen like just like in passing, and it's very rare that somebody, unless you're like on a date or something,
yeah,
it's
especially
very
in
rare.
like New York.
Right. It's rare that somebody gives you the time of day and like will let you say what you want to say beginning to end and like listen actively and respond to what you're saying. It's a cathartic sort of experience, I think.
I've actually been accused of being a huge flirt when really I'm just like I'm interested in people and I love talking to people. But I would be accused of being a flirt, or if I was really friendly to certain people, they go, oh God, Ashley just like she had a crush on them. I'm like, no, I didn't. I like talking to people.
Right.
But then like my over familiarity, it's genuine. My curiosity and my enthusiasm and my I don't know. It's as much as people would say I'm extremely selfish and want the spotlight on me, I'm actually also really interested in other people. But then that got me in trouble because it was like, oh, you where I was trying to make someone laugh, and my now ex-husband, well, he is my ex-husband would be like, you were so flirty and suggestive, and I was like, what? I was just like trying to be funny, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but again,
like,
I feel like that goes back to what I was saying
no,
before.
That did get me in trouble. You're right. So I didn't think about that.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, I got in trouble.
We're in a roundabout way we got, but I feel like that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Where like that says more about the person than it does about you. Like they're reflecting their insecurities onto you. If you're just being nice and talkative, which there's no law against a woman being nice and talkative, if the person who's receiving that takes it the wrong way, how is that your responsibility?
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, go back to your book. Sorry for bothering you, especially in New York,
Right.
I feel like if I don't want to be bothered, I put on my hat and my headphones or sunglasses, which is the international, don't talk to me, but like, I don't know. I even shout at people in the subway sometimes if I'm in the mood. I'll be like, oh, I like your shoes or something. And then I've met so many interesting people that way, but some people, yeah, no, I just could talk forever.
Yeah, and then the level of receptiveness, I'm sure, varies from person to person.
Oh,
Sure. Let's talk for a minute about this whole ethos that we're talking about. This whole idea of wanting to entertain and you doing impressions and wanting to be a voice actor. Growing up, what did this all, in your mind, build towards? What was the ideal application for all these things? What did you want to be?
Oh my God, Christian, I thought this interview was about a game show. Okay. I always wanted to be, the truth is, I wanted to like star in my own sitcom because I'm literally a walking, talking sitcom. Truth be told, I think you could ask anyone. I'm like a little too big for planet Earth sometimes, just in the way I react, whether I get angry or happy or whatever. So I think like I wanted to be on Saturday Night. I think everybody thought I was going to be on Saturday Night Live or like, you know, or like, but really I wanted to be like on a sitcom. Like, you know, I wanted to be like the star of like Seinfeld or Friends or something, you know. I mean, this showing you, we know that I grew up in the 90s. So, you know, or I wanted to, that's what I wanted to do. Or, and like sing, I'm a singer too. So I kind of was a person that just wanted to like be acting and performing and singing in any way, shape, or possible and be wildly successful and highly paid and highly respected. Isn't that what we all want, Christian?
Well, that's the American dream. Saturday Night Live is also the American dream. I feel like there are so many people who aspire to that particular show.
And people are still like, you should audition for SNL. Like, people still say that to me. But, I mean, who knows? You know, life is long. And Leslie Jones got on when she was 50, so I still have got time.
Oh, anything is possible. Talking about SNL, my wife is a trained improviser. She went to UCB for a couple years. She is the funniest person I've ever known in my entire
I'll be the judge of that
on this earth. Well, but let me tell you, she always wanted to be on SNL, and there was a point where I think she realized that, like, and I wonder, I think this might happen with a lot of people who aspire to be on SNL in particular. They romanticize a certain era of that show. And when you think about the show itself, like, you're never going to be on SNL in the early 2000s, like, as that show was then. Like, you remember it and you fell in love with it. I'm never going
to be on SNL with Sherry O'Terry, Will Ferrell, and a guest hire.
SNL is a shit ton of work. It is such a hard job.
I don't think I actually want to be on it anymore. But...
No, is that something that went away, like, in that same way? I mean, it's cool to aspire to be that. I mean, there is definitely romance,
I mean, I'm not really going down that track. You know what I mean? It's not really... I did sketch and improv for a while, but then, like, I just, you know, my life shifted and I started doing voice acting, and then I was just like, okay. You know, and all my impressions came in handy in voice acting and got me work that paid me actual money. So, because I don't know if I told you, the reason I mentioned voiceover and impressions was sort of what made people say I should start to do voice acting, and then it led to me being a celebrity voice double, which is I do impressions like for ADR, and you know, I'm literally like the voice of 25. I've voice matched like 25 different celebrities and various things, from video games to commercials to toys to theme park rides, etc., etc.
And you had mentioned before we started recording that your appearance on the game show that you were on Mad Libs when you were 15, that sort of foreshadowed this career.
I feel like
as a voice actor. Tell me about that.
Okay, well, what do you want? Well, do you need to? What do you want to know? Like how I got on the show, or you just want to know what you just asked? Okay.
Tell me what you remember. Tell me what you remember about how you found out about the show.
I feel like I'm conducting the interview. I'm so sorry.
No, you're not. Don't worry. I'm going to keep us on track. Tell me what you remember. Tell me about how you got on the show, how you found out, the whole thing.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the way I got on the show, because I was 15. I was in high school. No, was I in middle school? I freaking cannot believe I cannot remember. What year was that show?
Mad Libs, well, you were 15, so...
I said I was 15, but maybe I was wrong.
I think Mad Libs was 2000, if I'm not mistaken, 2000 or 2001.
Okay,
I'm looking at the producer table. I think it's 2000. Let's see. No, 1999.
Oh my God.
98 to 99.
It only ran one season?
It ran one season.
That's it?
That is it. From July 26, 98 to they don't even know what day it ended. Just mid 1999.
Wait. Really? that means I was 14. Or wait, it was basically the summer of 98 to the summer of 99?
Something like that, yeah.
That means I was like 14. Because I turned 14 in 98. And I was born in 1984.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, okay. So I was born in 84, which means it was right after I graduated middle school. Yeah, because I graduated high school in 02. Okay, so it was between middle school and that means it was between middle school and high school. That makes sense because my dog is whining. That makes sense because the reason I think I got on Mad Libs is I think when they were casting The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan, they came to my school. They were looking for people. And I think I auditioned. Like they came and like Disney, the producers, casting directors, and like they were just like having us read parts of the script literally like in like the outside part of the school. I think like a casting director came and like just had us like read parts of the script. Oh my God, can you hear my dog?
I can hear your dog. I'm leaving it in. I'm not editing that out.
Okay. My dog's name is Mr. Toad too.
Oh.
I love Disney. Now that you're refreshing down the year, it like makes a lot of sense. So I remember in middle school, like a casting director person came around and was like reading kids for the parent. I remember it was I'm pretty sure it was The Parent Trap. I mean, I could be wrong. I need to check all my dates, but it was just like, it was literally outside, like in the like courtyard, one of the like hallways of the school. Like just there were, a few kids and we got scripts and then we read. So as you can probably guess, I did not get that part. Okay. I wasn't in the Parent Trap, but I think they kept my information and I got a call from a producer and I remember their name. It was Dawn Cinco. I got a call to be like, do you want to come audition for this game show? And I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, Disney, new game show. But I had to bring a partner. So I brought my friend John. It was Johnny Isaacs. I have no idea what he's doing now. I hope he's good because he did help me win. He was my friend in middle school. Yeah. And we went to audition for the show and I do remember being insanely nervous. Like that is what I remember. But I remembered I was like in the audition process. I was like, show a lot of personality, have a lot of energy, like I think they said that to us. And then they called my mom and told me we got on the show. And we got these shirts with our names on them. And I still have my shirt. Because it was really, really special to me with all the slime on it. I was like, you can never wash this.
Sure.
So
I want to pause you for just a second because we're talking about a person who has these aspirations towards being some type of entertainer, whether it's musical or comedic or otherwise. Is this your appearance on Mad Libs? Is this your first experience at this point in front of cameras or in a studio that's not an audition? Okay, so this is your first It
was my first time on a soundstage or anything.
Right.
Which is crazy. I mean, it's crazy, amazing. That was my first. I had other things after that, obviously, but yeah, that was my first, was this game show.
So I imagine the excitement that a person might have for being on a game show, they talk about, maybe winning something. I imagine that excitement is probably paralleled by the excitement of just being there.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was so nervous, even watching back when they asked me a question, like, what do you do, Ashley? And I'm like, I'm on drill team and I'm in choir. Yeah. Like I feel like the host was almost like mocking me. He was like, and I'm always said, and I'm captain. And because I was captain of drill team. Yeah. Cause I was in middle school. See, that was about my middle school life. So this was like right after I left middle school. Like right between 8th and 9th grade, obviously. Yeah, I remember he was like, oh, you're captain. And I remember even thinking, man, from an early age, people were like mocking me for my enthusiasm.
But that's so what they did on kids' game shows anyway. They ask you silly stuff and then the answer, and they tell kids to be super excited on those kinds of game shows because that's the kind of stuff that kids watch.
Yeah, I think they were like, you need to have something ready to say when the host asks you, like, tell me about yourself, which forever is still like so hard for me. I'm like, what do I say? There's so much. Like I remember John like literally made, I think he said he like carved, items out of like wood or something, like with a tooth. I don't remember. He said something. We can watch the game show back, but he said like, and I remember thinking, oh, he just made that up. That wasn't real. Like his like little interesting fact about himself he didn't actually carve things. It was like, I carved stuff with a toothbrush or something like that. I remember thinking he lied or he made that up and that sounded good,
Yeah.
But then,
I've heard that before. There are people who get on game shows and they'll say like, in the interview, they'll talk about how they went surfing once and then they'll introduce him on the show and go, his interest includes surfing. Like, okay, well, it's not really an interest. Like I did it once. That's part of the illusion, I guess.
Mine was like, I'm captain of drill team and I'm in show choir. And he was like, oh, what do you like better? And I was like, it's toss up or something. I don't even. Yeah, it was something like that. It's so weird to watch that back now because it's like me with braces and short hair and awkward. And
really, do you cringe at that? Is it hard for you to watch like old footage of yourself?
No, I love watching it. I've been with some friends when I'm watching it and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? They're like, it's Ashley Adler, but like, your voice sounds different, but it's still you. And I'm like, because I have a very big personality, if you couldn't tell. And so I think people are like, oh my God, like, where did you, I don't know. It's just weird because I'm a interesting person. So when I say interesting, I meant that as like a dig at myself. But I've watched it with friends. They're like, oh my God, it's just you, but little. It's like you haven't changed. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of. So all I remember is being extremely nervous. And I remember, I auditioned with John and we got on as a team. I remember they told me I had to bring a partner. Like they weren't going to partner me up with someone. Like I had to bring a teammate. It was either like both or none,
Sure.
And he was like my only friend I could think of because it had to be male female teams, so I had to I didn't have really any guy friends. But he was like my one guy friend, I think. So that's why I was like, John, do you want to do this? And he was really smart and I was like, we could probably win. And also I loved Mad Libs, by the way, like the actual Mad Libs. I love them and I love doing them and I love words, obviously. Wow, look, I'm a voice actor. I took English for fun. So I loved Mad Libs and so that was exciting. And then, I don't remember being in the show. I really don't. It's like you kind of go, when you're performing, it's just like pure adrenaline. And like, I have no idea what just happened. I do remember at one point, I remember thinking, you're losing. You're losing. You need to focus up. It's like I have like the coach inside my head that's
right. You get your second win.
Yes, I needed to win. And we did win. And what I say, and at the end of the show, like the final, is this all interesting? Is this what you want to hear?
No, this is exactly. So real quick, I'm sorry, before we get to like the final part, I just want, so you mentioned that you don't remember like a lot of the experience, and it's not that I don't believe you, but it's crazy to me that it's your first time on a soundstage in front of cameras on TV, and you don't remember. Like I've been on 6 game shows, and I remember my first one like it was yesterday.
But were you 14?
I was 18.
It's different. I feel like my memories, I don't know, like I was still a kid. I was like developed. I don't know. I don't remember much except auditioning. I remember my mother getting the phone call and telling me I got on the show. I remember the name of the producer. I remember the adrenaline rush and like the focus I had when I was like, you need to win this. And I remember being disappointed at the prize.
What was the prize? I'll
it was
my
a
memory.
CD shopping spree, which was $160.
Oh my God.
How much of a I know.
What a cost-effective production.
I know. It's so ridiculous. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to win like $1,000. It was like 100. I'm so sorry. It might have been $170, but I remember it was not more than $200. And I think I don't even remember if we each got that amount or if we had to split it. I hope we each got that amount. And it was probably at like a specific store. I couldn't tell you which store, but it maybe like the now defunct Tower Records, which I have a complicated relationship with, but I don't know. Because I got in trouble for stealing from Tower Records when I was also a year older than that.
Ooh, the one in Times Square, the big one?
No, in Sherman Oaks.
Oh, okay.
In the Valley.
Oh, heard.
I grew up in LA.
Yeah.
I'm an LA kid. So yeah, I don't I remember at the end of the show, the host said that I was like the first contestant to ever finish the final bonus round all the way through without stopping and in time. And I took a now, and then he was like, you have a great voice and you're a good dancer, actress. You have a long singing career ahead of you. And it's like crazy because I'm like, whoa, that's like that happened on a Disney show and it feels full circle, because I've done so much stuff for Disney and it's like, who would have known? It's like my Libs. What is Libs? Like, my Libs have made me money for Disney and it like all started there. And like to know, like, I've always felt this sense of like, I freaking finish what I start and I will finish strong. So even seeing that I like won that like bonus round because it was me acting out. Like I had to stuff marshmallows in my mouth and say a word. I had to draw something with ketchup, like a word on like a plastic, board. And then I had to like dance a word and then I had to act a word and then I had to sing a word. I think it was those 5 things. And so when watching it back now, I was like, yeah, Ashley, that's right. You were the only contestant to ever finish the final bonus round without stop, all the way through in time, so I like had to, it was like charades basically.
Right.
And then John was guessing. I think we decided ahead of time, I'm the performer. I should definitely be the one to do if we get to the final bonus round. That and we had to decide before. If we get to the final bonus round, who's going to be the guesser and who's going to be the, performer or actor or writer or whatever. Oh, I had to draw something. I had to draw something. I had to write. I had to draw something with my hands with paint. I had to write something in ketchup and mustard on a plastic board backwards. I had to say a word with a bunch of marshmallows in my mouth. I had to dance something and I had to sing something and I had to choose which words I was going to do what action with. So they gave me like 5 cards with the 5 words. It was like, I don't remember what they were.
Right.
I had to choose which ones I was going to do what with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah. So you look at the words and determine which one you'd be best at dancing or which one you'd be best at like at
there was
drawing.
ballerina. I was like, well, clearly I'm going to dance ballerina.
Right. There's a little bit of strategy involved.
Okay, see, I'm remembering more than I thought. See, I am remembering something.
Well, that's what happens. You see what I mean? Like you talk about it, and people like your brain just naturally opens up. Like it's in there. I think it just depends on how long it's been since you thought about it. Like it sounds like you've had a lot of activity in this part of your life since then. So I'm sure it's just
I'm
way
so
back there.
Grateful. I had the only reason you found me because I uploaded it onto YouTube. And the only reason I even have that is because an aunt of mine, who I don't even talk to anymore, that's a long story. Not really my fault, but, families have,
Oh, and I know it.
Now this side of the family won't talk. Anyway, she taped it on a VHS. Hey, for me, my parents didn't even do that.
That's sweet.
I know. And thank God I have it because what's crazy is I went online, like all of a sudden about 6 months ago or something, I got a bee in my bonnet, as they say. I was like, whatever. I did that game show. Like, I was just thinking about how much stuff I do for Disney and have done for Disney. And I was like, oh my God, I was on that game show. I wonder if it's on YouTube. And my friends were like, oh, it's on the swamps of YouTube. And my episode I found, but whoever taped it, it was like the worst quality and all the squiggly lines and stuff.
Right.
And like, I luckily remembered I moved from New York to from LA to New York, and I always held on to that cassette tape. It's not a cassette, sorry, it's a VHS. And my aunt even put a label on that says Ashley's television debut in like gold letters, and like I have it, and I was like, oh my God, I wonder if this is still good. And I found a converting, like, I looked up one of those like services that takes your old memories and puts them digital, and I found it, and I didn't know if it was going to be I didn't know if the tape was going to be warped or whatever. And I got it converted, and then it was like in pristine condition. And then I was like, okay, I'm uploading this on YouTube. That's it, And I look at it every day. I have that up here to like remind me like of how far I've come almost, because that was, something that kind of came to me out of the blue and meant a lot. And I now see as like kind of a really cool, like, foreshadowing thing in my life because Mad Libs is like playing with words, and literally my job is speaking words. And even the fact that I have sung professionally a lot of my life, and I'm kind of doing not less now, but it's just like kind of on and off, and I teach singing too. But just to see, like, even the host was like, you have a great voice, you have a long singing career ahead of you. And I know it's like not a big deal, but like when I look at the story of my life, I'm like, oh my God, like, and it was a Disney show. Like, it's just crazy.
It's very prescient.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. When you're doing this show, when you're 14, 15, however old you were when you did Mad Libs, is there any part of your brain that registers this experience as something that could lead to what you're doing now? Like, do you realize that back then?
Wait. What's your question? Wait, can you say it again?
So, thinking about you doing this show. so thinking about you doing this show, at that age, are you aware of the idea that appearing on this show could lead to things similar to what you're doing now?
No, I mean, I didn't think about it that deeply. I just, I was just so excited to I'm like, I'm an actress, and like, I'm going to be on TV. And I was so excited, but I can't imagine if I'd done that when there was social media, it'd be so different. I'm so glad I didn't grow up with that, but it's still hard now. But no, I had no idea. I just did love Mad Libs. I really did. But, and I wanted to be an actress, or I wanted to be a performer of some kind. I was very shy for many years, but
sure. I just I remember when I used to take acting classes, like when I was in high school, and even when I got into auditioning for game shows and things, like one of the pieces of advice I would always get was like, the audition starts as soon as you walk through the door. Like any opportunity that you are, at any moment that you're with those people or in front of their eyes, that is the audition. It's not just when they tell you to go and tell you to stop. So I just wondered if that was a mentality that you had at that point as well.
No, I was extremely excited. I've always been very spiritual, and I'm like, everything's a sign and everything's meant to be, and la la la. And I do remember being like, oh my God, this is Disney Channel. It doesn't matter that it's a game show. This is amazing. And like, there's this picture of me in one of my photo albums of me like waiting before I was going in to tape the game show. And the look on my face was, I was so excited. I was just like I was like bursting, this photo. It's in California, the photo, but yeah, I remember that photo, like the anticipation, the excitement on my face. I was so excited. And then I won.
Yeah, you won your maybe 14 CDs or something like that?
How much did CDs cost back then?
I don't even remember. What, 1998? I don't know, maybe like $15 each or something. I'm trying to think. I didn't buy, my first CD I ever bought was Millennium, the Backstreet Boys album. That was the first CD I ever bought with my own money. I think I was 11
what
or 12.
Songs were on that? Was that their first one? That wasn't their first album.
No. First one was self-titled. So this was the second one, I believe. So you had...
Was this Backstreet's Back? All right.
I think it was. I think so. No, maybe not. I think that might have been the first one. No, I think I Want It That Way. I think that was on Millennium.
No, that wasn't the first album.
Was it? Wait a second. No, we're going to figure this out.
That feels like the oldest school Backstreet.
Hold on a second. Okay, Millennium, Backstreet Boys album. May 18th, 1999. Okay, that makes sense because my birthday was May 9th, so that's when they got it. Okay. Track listing, Larger Than Life. I Want It That Way. Show Me the Meaning of Being Lonely.
Wait, it is? I was wrong?
Yeah, it is. That's on Millennium.
Well, I'm an expert on a lot of music, but I have to say that boy bands are not my forte, though they were my generation. That's what I grew up with, but it wasn't the music I loved. So.
Sure. Yeah, no, that was just the first one I happened to buy. So we've talked a lot about the connection between your experience on this game show and what you've been able to do in your professional life going forward as an adult. And a lot of what you did on the show, like you said, kind of foreshadowed, sort of predicted a lot of what you would do as a professional, these days. Are you in general the type of person that sees a lot of symbolism in things?
Yes, every day, too much. So actually, sometimes I'm like, am I effing crazy? Like, I see so much, I see so much symbolism. I try to see all the invisible strings, especially with like some of the crazy things I've been through that have been seemingly negative. I try to go, okay, well, if XYZ hadn't happened, then blah blah blah, or like, isn't it crazy that this happened and then look where you ended up, and then isn't that just ironic and coincidental? And I'm starting to believe less and less in coincidences. I don't know how much we're in charge of our fate, or if there's something bigger than us that's always trying to get us back on our path. But I just had a professional thing happen where it's only in retrospect now that I can see the whole thing come out, I'm like, oh my God, this was like I was excited to get the part, but then seeing what it became, or like how it completely, what it was like once it was fully produced, I was like, oh my God, this was actually a dream come true role for me. And I didn't even know it at the time, but it's like, it felt like meant to be in so many ways. Like, I love seeing the invisible threads in my life and career, because I believe my art and life are connected, and my career has always been really important to me, and like it's my vocation, it's not just my job. And when you're an artist or someone, or at least for me, it's like I'm compelled to do it. I must do what I do in some way, shape, or form. And you have to have something keeping you in this crazy game, because there's a lot of rejection, and it's a long road. So it's like, once you're in it, you're in it. My friend, I remember like I think a year ago or so, I was like, you know what? I'm done. This is nuts. Like, what am I doing? I'm like insane. Like, I need to like, and my friend was like, Ashley, you're in too deep. It's too late. I was like,
especially when you're that kind of person. I mean, once you're in, you're in. Once you consider it your personal responsibility to fulfill this creative vision, I mean, you can't turn that off.
I know, and I don't know where. And the thing is, it's like you can have the vision, but you don't actually know where the train's going to take you. It's like when you become a performer, actor, type of person, it's like you get on a train and you do not know where this train is going to go, but you're like, this is the train I'm on. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I have dreams and visions and hopes, but they never manifest the way you think they're going to. But sometimes I have to tell you, like, I have been truly, like, I'm almost going to cry right now, like amazed at like the things that have happened. And there's so many ways I've held myself back and doubted myself. My self-doubt has been truly crippling to me, but I believe in my, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just,
self-doubt is tough, and imposter syndrome is tough. And I imagine, as somebody who is, with your permission, living your dream, I imagine that, that can be a very strong deterrent to feel, even there are experiences that I've had in my life that I consider myself very fortunate to have, but also sometimes there's that creeping question in the back, like, do I deserve this? Am I the right person for this? And that can be such a roadblock. Being a person who has that position of living their dream, doing what they dreamed of doing, I mean, it sounds like to the letter. I imagine
not at all. Not at all. I'm not doing, I love what I am doing. I'm so grateful for everything I'm doing, but this is not exactly what I imagined, and I feel like I'm still building it, I'm not doing what I envisioned myself doing. But there's some ways that I'm like, wow, I never thought I would do that. That's what I mean,
But is there a similar level of satisfaction, do you think, in what you're doing now compared to what you envisioned you'd be doing? Like, are you as happy?
Oh my God, these are such tough questions. This is hilarious. What am I supposed to say? Yes, I'm living my dream.
Well, you'll just say it if you feel like that's honestly what's happening. If not,
I am really, really proud of a lot of the work I've done. I feel like I am nowhere close to where I really want to be. That being said, I have been around and worked with people in this business who are at the top, and really at the top. And I don't think they're any happier than me. I think there's like a little bit of there's like an unfillable hole. So we have to find happiness in other ways, because I do have so much happiness and satisfaction from what I do, but I want to do more. You know what I mean? I want to do more. I want to do more things that I'm doing, and I want to do it more often, and I want to work with new people, but I'm very, very, very grateful for what I've done. I have some goals in mind that I'm like, okay, well, if I haven't done this yet, but I've been in this business a long time, and I have been like, well, once I get a radio commercial, I'll be, once I get an agent that's good, I'll be, once I get a video game that's like this, or once I get and all these things have started to happen. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like, what's next? It's always like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing?
So you say like when you get this like radio commercial or video game part, then you'll be, what's up?
And I'll be like, then, I envisioned in the past, then I'll be happy, or then I'll feel like good. And then you realize there is no there. You hear people saying there is no there.
That sounds like an eternal chase, my friend.
Yeah, I know. I think it's, but really, I mean, if I were to stop now, because I think about this all the time, I would still be really proud of what I've done. But I'm not about to stop. I don't think so. I don't think I'm about to stop. And if anything, what's crazy is like seeing the Mad Libs show. I was like, oh my God, I was literally like, this was all meant to be, because I've always felt like I was supposed to do something bigger, have some sort of impact, or I don't know. I don't know. I hope I have an impact in some good way. I've definitely not always had a positive impact. I'm sure there's people I've worked with who are like, oh, she's crazy. But anyway, can you hear my dog panting?
I can hear your dog, but I love it. It's ambient.
His name
sound.
is Mr. Toad.
Mr. Toad is such a sweet name for a puppy.
Am I saying the wrong thing? Should I be like, yes, I'm so fulfilled and so grateful?
No. The right thing is what you're feeling. There is no wrong answer at all. But it just sounds like okay. I'll give it to you from my perspective for a minute, because again, I'm somebody who, for a period in my life, I dreamed of doing what you're doing. I dreamed of working in Hollywood, moving to California, doing the whole thing, and my path took me in a different direction, and it took me in a direction that turned out for me to be incredibly fulfilling. And I made this realization that I think I was just looking for. I don't know that I wanted to be a game show host. That was always like the lifelong dream, to be a game show host. I don't know if I wanted to be a game show host so much as I wanted to be that kind of person in my day-to-day life. So I get to wear a suit. I get to be witty and funny with people when I want to be. I get to welcome people from like all over the world. I get to be like that first point of contact. My trajectory brought me to a place where I'm receiving that fulfillment without what I've learned in the course of my life to be the pressures of Hollywood and of show business, right. That whole thing.
I'm not A-list. So remember, I'm not A-list, Christian. I'm just like, a middle-class working actor who...
Yeah, but the word just in that is baffling. What do you mean just? Like, you've done so... Like, I'm listening to you describe what you've done, describe what you aspire to do. You're teaching other people to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to minimize that, I feel like it's doing you a disservice.
Yeah, and even I was like, okay, if I die now, I can say like, the voice of the annual pass of Disney World, and I'm the narrator of Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is like another one of those things where I didn't even audition for that. And it's funny, I was always like, I was raised in the Valley. I'm a Valley girl, and I'm the narrator of Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is this video game that, has all the Disney and Pixar characters and,
Right. Oh, I'm
and
familiar with Disney Dreamlight Valley. Absolutely.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, and like I just, but I don't know where I was going. You just I have other goals.
Sorry, I feel like I'm scrambling your brain and I don't mean to.
You are, because I thought this was just going to be a narrative view about like.
Well, you said you didn't remember anything about the game shows. We got to fill this with something.
Oh God, well, I've said a lot about the game show, haven't I?
You actually remembered a lot more than you thought you would remember, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, I was just so nervous, I remember. And there was a live studio audience. There was. Oh, sorry, I'm going back and forth, but
no, it's fine.
no, I've done some stuff. I just have other goals. I think I have this horrible. I was raised in like a really competitive. Oh God, Dad, please don't listen. I was raised by non-artists, so there was this thing about like being the best and being like this and that. I'm sure my dad would never, fess up to that, but.
Right. Well, yeah, that's interesting. Growing up as a as an artist among non-artists, you get that.
Well, if you don't get the gold, you get nothing. And
that pressure, that very like binary, like pass fail kind of sense of competition.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by the
sports-based.
self-doubt is I have struggled with being so myself, and my jealousy like ate me alive when I was younger. But I felt just like this is what I have to do. And my career's taken many different forms. My first professional gigs were like being an opera singer in New York. I like had this random 3-year career as a professional opera singer. And then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too limiting. And then I did musical theater, and then I was doing regular theater. And then I started doing voice acting, and, there's a lot of symbol. You asked me about symbolism. I booked my very first job on my birthday in voice acting. And I was like, oh, that means something.
Yeah, meant to be, for sure.
And then, I've ended,
Who were you jealous of? Because it sounds like you've had so many. Yeah, but it just sounds like you like. I'm just thinking about your trajectory, right? I'm thinking about it as you're describing it to me. And it just sounds like you've been able to do so many things from like a young age. I mean, regardless of how much you remember about the experience,
and now,
getting
by
on
the
a
way,
game show at the age of 14 is pretty cool, is pretty impressive. And to be in front of those people, and even that was a byproduct of an audition for a movie at the age of 14. Like, you've done so much. Like, I just wonder what more you wanted.
Growing up in LA, you're surrounded by like the most successful people, and like you're going to school, like in elementary school, and you're like, Amy's dad is producing Newsies and he's going to come to the play. You know what I mean? And you're just surrounded by like child actors and like actors and seeing celebrities at the grocery store. And so like your bar for success is so unrealistic. And you're like growing up in LA, even though I didn't grow up in the industry. I mean, I drove by Michael Jackson's house on the way to elementary school.
Wow.
Like, so I was just constantly, I think, reminded of like what the most successful was, and that I wasn't that,
Boy,
which is
from a creative,
which is crazy. I know it's
you're not crazy, but just from the point of view of a creative person, a creative type, that sounds like hell.
Yeah, and I grew up in a. I don't want to. This isn't therapy, Christian. What the hell? I just grew up around non-artists, so it was like always like you need to win, you need to be the best, and stuff like that. And so I was very ambitious and creative, but also extremely creative. And like, I kind of, I don't think I let myself fully get as like weird or like experimental as I think I could have. I don't know if that makes sense, but like
it makes perfect sense. I'm telling you, like, again, it's from a different.
Like, my parents were doctors, and like I was the only artist in the family.
Right.
But later on, I found out that my great grandmother, that's my grandmother's mother, right? My grandmother's mother was the assistant or like receptionist for Cecil B. DeMille.
Right. So it runs deep.
It does run deep. And my great great uncle, who I found out is not related by blood, but whatever, he wrote a Grand Hotel, which won the Oscar for best screenplay, and a bunch of Sherlock Holmes movies. So it's like it like skipped a bunch of generations, and then my grandmother on my dad's side was this incredible jazz porch singer, and that I absolutely inherited from her. Like her voice, I have recordings of her voice. I'm like, yep, I got that from her. Oh, please don't whine, Mr. Toad.
Yeah,
I love my dog.
I'm fascinated by that. So it is something that there's some history there.
A little bit, yeah. I love that stuff. I love the history. I love nostalgia. I watch old TV. That's pretty. I mean, besides Curb Your Enthusiasm and some other stuff, I pretty much only like watching old TV shows because I grew up with Nick at Night.
Yeah, I am the same way. I don't watch much new TV at all, to be honest with you.
I don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't. I just want to live like it's like it's a 1960s sitcom.
Well, there's some empowerment in that because I feel like as an adult, you are entitled to find your own comfort, no matter what form it takes. I mean, clearly there are some things that aren't so great that people take comfort in, but you can kind of, as an adult, dictate that for yourself. Like
I can pick for myself. Gosh darn it!
Yeah,
I'm an adult. I mean?
Like without getting too much into like my personal history, like. I came from a stressful household. Like emotionally, it was a very tense household, and so as an adult, I find that I seek comfort in things. I like building comfort around myself when I'm in my home. You know what I mean? And like that I can do that because I'm an adult and it's my house. I can do what I want, and I feel like there's a lot of joy in being able to say that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I do watch some new things. I'm very particular with what I like that's new, but oh my gosh, my dog is like panting so much. I need to get him out of here, okay?
Okay.
He's upset that I'm giving you attention. He literally gets upset when I'm on the phone and not giving him attention, so I have to get him out of my sight, okay?
Oh no, go right ahead.
Okay. No, this is not going to work. I tried to get you a chat. To go. Okay, I'm back. I would love to go back to the symbolism thing.
Yeah.
Because or like the signs or whatever you want to call it, because that's one of those things that just kind of keeps me going. Like when I've gotten down and as my career has changed and I'm now like an adjunct professor, Wow. Okay. I'm an adjunct professor at like the school I went to. And like, but what I was going to say is like, I just had, like there's like even oh man I just finally like got a part on like a show of the like the kind of show I've always wanted to be on, like this cartoon called Solar Opposites, and I'm the Wicked Witch in their Halloween episode. And when I got it initially, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm doing a funny voice. I'm doing a witch voice on like this big ass cartoon. Oh, sorry. Can I not say the word F?
You can say F.
Okay. And it's funny, and like that's what I want to do is like do funny stuff, but like also use all my voices and talents and stuff. And watching that episode play out felt like it was answering a lot of like dreams and like affirming and stuff. Like, and now it's like millions of people are watching it, but when I watch it, I'm like, oh my god, it's me and my life and my hopes and my the things I want to be, the witch who's also a princess. It's crazy, and that's literally what I am in that episode. It just came out like a week and a half ago, and then in the credits it's like me, and then Eric Bowles' name is under my name, and he's like the predecessor to Mel Blanc. I think he's the guy who does like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so amazing.
Yeah, you're in great company, and that and I can't imagine how my my imposter syndrome would take over if I saw my name next to names like that. I mean, I was in a documentary for ABC last year, May of 23.
Oh, okay.
It was a 4-episode thing about the history of game shows, and they had found my podcast and found some stuff that I wrote, brought me to New York, and they filmed me talking about game shows for like 4 hours, and it was over the course of like 2 days. and I saw the final product. It was around the time of my birthday last year.
When's your birthday?
Yeah, May 9th. It was every week in May was an episode of this thing. And I saw that they had clips of my interview with interviews from like every living game show host. Like I share a credit with all those people, and it still blows my mind.
That's amazing. I know. Isn't it crazy? Like, I just feel like I've spent, I'm sure, I mean, I don't know it's how you feel, but it's just cool when you see stuff like that manifest, and you're just like, the odds of this happening are so slim.
Oh, yeah,
but it
for
happened.
sure. For sure.
But it happened.
It happened. Absolutely. And I think about young me. I think about telling 7-year-old me that this would happen in the future, and like it would just blow my mind.
I know. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, there's so much. Life can be magical, like Disney.
Yeah.
But you've heard my I still struggle. I mean, it's hard sometimes when you feel like you're not getting as much work as you normally do or as you want to, and you're just like, am I nuts to keep doing this? Because it's not like there's any job security or whatever, but you kind of are like, this is what as my friend said, I'm sorry, sweetie, you're in too deep. It's too late now. It's too late for you to get out. It's too late. Yeah. And it's so crazy that I found that it's so happy to be on this show, being interviewed and talking with you. I could have easily forgotten I did that show. I don't know why. All of a sudden I was like, wait, didn't I do that show? That's a game show.
Right. Just like in the back of your mind.
I'm so glad I found it, because now I met you, and it also did serve to like affirm me in a lot of ways. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, the self-doubt, it's crazy. So
no, but it does affirm you in a lot of ways. I mean, it's solid evidence, right? I mean, it's a video. It's you, and hearing the way that you look for, like you said, the invisible threads in these in different experiences that kind of connect past you to current you. It's undeniable, right?
Yeah, it really is.
I think it's cool.
There was a Pat Fraley, who's one of the biggest voice actors ever. He said don't be good, be undeniably good. And that's like a quote I had written down. So you saying undeniable. So, yeah. There's been so many weird, crazy things in my life that I can't wait to see where else they go, because I'm not dead yet.
Tell Us About Yourself, Conversations with Game Show Contestants, is hosted, produced, and edited by me, Christian Carrion, from my studio in beautiful downtown Lancaster City, Pennsylvania. Co-executive producer Cory Anotado. Researcher Chuck Donegan. This has been a production of BuzzerBlog, the most popular game show website in the world, in partnership with the National Archives of Game Show History at the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York. For more information, visit museumofplay.org. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Christian Carrion. Good night. Tell Us About Yourself is sponsored by bonusround.ca, streaming Canada's classic game shows on demand. Dive into the golden age of television with thousands of episodes of Canadian series that defined an era from anywhere in the world, all for just $1.99 a month. From iconic shows like Let's Make a Deal and Definition to cult classics like Bumper Stumpers and The Mad Dash, bonusround.ca brings you timeless entertainment that's fun, enlightening, and affordable. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, relive the magic of Canadian television history. Subscribe now at bonusround.ca for $1.99 and turn every night into game show night. by Game Show Forensics. Join host Robert McKee and his crack team of forensic game show scientists as they take you on the deepest dives imaginable in a quest to analyze the most detailed minutia of game shows nobody else dares to, or cares to, investigate. Nothing is too whimsical for examination, no semantics too absurd for the research extremists at GameShowForensics.com. Parental discretion is advised. And by the Inn at Leola Village. Nestled in the heart of picturesque Pennsylvania, the Inn at Leola Village is a sanctuary of luxury and relaxation. Indulge in the timeless beauty of their historic suites, each meticulously designed to transport you to a bygone era of elegance and grace. Experience the culinary delights of their award-winning Italian restaurant, where every dish is a masterpiece crafted from the finest local ingredients. From romantic getaways to corporate retreats, the Inn at Leola Village offers a haven for every occasion. Unwind at the spa, stroll through the lush gardens, and let the stress of everyday life melt away. Make your reservation today at theinnatleolavillage.com or call the front desk at area code 717-656-7002. The Inn at Leola Village, an oasis of luxury.